31 Hell's Book. Shi Feng walked over without hesitation. He quickly picked up the one-handed sword filled with killing intent. The Crimson Blade was one of the rarest drops within the Hell mode of the Deathly Forest. It was also the best sword for a swordsman below level 6. Crimson Blade, Secret Silver Rank, One-Handed Sword. Level 3. Equipment Requirement, Strength 12. Attack Power plus 21. Strength plus 5, Agility plus 6, Endurance plus 3. Durability 30/30ths. Its attack power alone could rival a level 5 two-handed bronze axe. With the 6 extra points in agility, it could increase the attack speed of a swordsman by quite a lot. The Crimson Blade was definitely a precious weapon for swordsmen. Unfortunately, Shi Feng could not equip it yet. His experience was currently at 69% of level 2. There was still quite an amount before he could reach level 3. Moreover, he wouldn't be able to equip it even if he had reached level 3. This was because swordsmen would only activate the dual-wielding talent after they reached level 5. At that time, Shi Feng would be able to wield 2 one-handed swords. By the time Shi Feng was level 5, he would be able to wield the Abyssal Blade on his main arm, and the Crimson Blade on his sub-arm. His attack power would be invincible amongst level 5 players. Shi Feng felt great just thinking about such a future. Brother Feng, hurry up and pick up the equipment. I'm dying of anxiety here. Blackie urged. That's right, party leader. You can't just enjoy it by yourself. At least let us have a look at what equipment dropped. The loot on the ground had nearly blinded everyone's eyes. The anxiety burning in their hearts had even caused them to forget their joy of reaching level 2. They all wished to take a look at the drops of the 2 Hell mode bosses. As for rushing over to snatch the loot, there was nobody present who would do such a thing. Even if the items on the ground were valuable, they still wouldn't do it. If they had done such a thing, although they could feel great for the moment, they would instead regret their actions for the rest of their lives. This was because Shi Feng was the true treasure here. Even if Shi Feng wanted all of the equipment, there would not be a single person who would refuse him. After all, the only reason they could make it to this point was all because of Shi Feng. That was why everyone was just standing by the side, obediently watching instead of rushing up to fight for the loot. All right. No need to rush. Shi Feng smiled. He quickly began to collect the items on the ground. Shi Feng was very satisfied with everyone's performance. They were unlike the players Shi Feng would occasionally party up with in his previous life. When the boss died, those players would rush up in unison to snatch the equipment. They immediately disappeared once they took all the equipment, leaving Shi Feng enraged and speechless. The reason Shi Feng did not set the party so that only the leader could pick drops was to test everyone's intentions. It was better to discover those treacherous people early on. Now that nobody had rushed up to snatch the items, Shi Feng could be more at ease with them. In a short moment, Shi Feng had collected all the loot on the ground. There were a total of 19 pieces of equipment and 5 silver coins. Such a harvest could rival the assets of a large guild in its entirety. Arranging his bag, Shi Feng's lips curled up into a smile. He found a forging design. Garrison armor forging design. Able to create a piece of level 3 bronze ranked chest armor after learning the design. Materials required, 20 copper ores, 5 bronze ores, 5 magic essences. This piece of equipment was a good item. As long as a party's MT equipped it, diving into the normal mode of the Deathly Forest would become much easier. Not only did it have high defense and strength, it also increased maximum HP by 200 points. It was an extremely important piece of equipment for any MT. In Shi Feng's previous life, when this equipment was released, every guild madly fought over it. They also ignored all costs to enter the Deathly Forest in order to obtain this forging design. When Blackie saw Shi Feng's excited smile, his heart became even more anxious. It was needless to say for the other people, if a person's sight could kill, Shi Feng probably would have died over hundreds or thousands of times by now. The items are not bad. Here, you guys have a look. Shi Feng did not waste any more time. He immediately displayed the attributes of all the equipment. There were a total of 15 pieces of equipment. Amongst them, there was only a single secret silver equipment, which was the Crimson Blade. There were also 5 pieces of mysterious iron equipment and 9 pieces of bronze equipment. The bronze equipment dropped by the bosses of Hell mode were all of the highest quality. The bronze equipment dropped by elites were far from comparable. Amongst all the equipment, after the Crimson Blade, the most valuable items were the pieces of mysterious iron equipment. Out of the 3 modes of the Deathly Forest, only Hell mode dropped mysterious iron equipment, whereas normal and difficult only dropped bronze equipment. Blackie's luck had always been good. Amongst the 5 pieces of mysterious iron equipment, there were 2 pieces of the dark color set meant for Curse Mancers. The dark color set was definitely the set equipment for Curse Mancers below level 5. There were a total of 5 pieces in the dark color set: head, chest, legs, shoes, arm guards. This time around, the parts that dropped were the chest and shoes. These two items had placed a wide smile on Blackie's face. Brother Feng, I really love coming down to hell. Let's come here once every day. That way, I can complete the dark color set, and if anyone dares look down upon us at that time, I'll blast him to pieces. Blackie showed off the dark color set in his hands. After wearing the dark color set, Blackie felt himself becoming closer to an expert. His magic attack was increased to 66, a single level 3 dark arrow could take away more than half the HP of a level 1 shield warrior. If he could complete the dark color set, then a single dark arrow could one-shot a shield warrior. He put on the suit of ash-grey fur robes, coupled with glistening pitch-black boots, everyone could tell they were pieces of a set with just a glance. The others drooled when they saw the black luster of the dark color set. Their hearts were filled with hatred and envy for Blackie. They had never imagined entering hell would be such a great experience. They truly hoped they could enter hell a few more times in the future. The remaining 3 pieces of mysterious iron equipment were the set pieces for Guardian Knight, Shield Warrior, and Elementalist. Amongst those present, only Kola was a Guardian Knight. Thus, Shi Feng gave the piece of equipment to Kola and stored the others. As for the remaining bronze equipment, Kola received a shield and Lonely Snow received a greatsword. Both pieces of level 2 equipment had the best attributes possible on them. Drowsy Sloth and Gluttonous Mouse also received a piece of bronze equipment each. Quite a few pieces of Shi Feng's equipment were also replaced. Amongst the bronze equipment, there were 3 pieces that belonged to swordsmen. The 2 pieces of equipment that remained were stored away by Shi Feng. When everyone had changed their equipment, it was as if the entire party had a makeover. Every piece of their equipment was incomparably brilliant. Just a glance was enough to tell that they didn't just have common equipment. The entire party had also risen to level 2. Blackie's experience was even at 98% of level 2, just a tad bit short of level 3. The other 4 items were a forging design, a potion recipe, a rare skill for Curse Mancers, and a notebook. The rare skill for Curse Mancers overjoyed Blackie. It was an AoE skill called Hell Flame. Hell Flame deals 150% flame damage to an 8x8 yard area. Duration of 5 seconds. Cooldown, 36 seconds. It was a godly skill for grinding monsters during the early periods of the game. What is this thing for? Shi Feng looked at the old notebook in his hand. He could not recall the hell mode of the Deathly Forest dropping such an item. Taking a look inside, Shi Feng discovered words which he could not understand. However, Shi Feng knew these words belonged to the ancient language of the elves. Within God's domain, any items which had a relationship with the elven language were definitely not common items. Just like the Ring of Gravity, there was a string of elvish words carved onto it. They had allowed the ring to possess unimaginable powers. It seems I have to make a trip to the library. Shi Feng felt this notebook was not as simple as it seemed. In his previous life, he entered the hell mode of the Deathly Forest tens of times. However, he had never seen such an item drop before. There was no such news from the other teams in the guild as well. The likelihood of the notebook dropping only on the first kill was high. If Shi Feng wanted to make heads with the situation, he had to translate its contents at the library. Brother Feng, what are we going to do afterward? Grinding mobs. Blackie was eager to try out the new skill he learned. That's fine as well. We'll grind and do quests in Dark Moon Valley. The monsters there drop quite a lot of ore, Shi Feng said after some thought. With the forging design in hand, all that was left was to obtain the materials. However, Shi Feng needed a lot of materials. Now that Blackie had Hell Flame, it should be a lot quicker to kill kobolds and gnomes. Furthermore, Shi Feng knew of a few good locations where it would be suitable to use Hell Flame. Shi Feng turned to look at the others, saying, "Will you guys follow us or do quests on your own?" Big Brother Feng, how could you leave me out of grinding mobs? I've already planned to follow Big Brother Feng in the future. Kola smiled like a fool as he gently caressed his new shield. Big Brother Feng, can we join as well? Drowsy Sloth and Gluttonous Mouse were both high schoolers. Currently, they had their heads lowered in embarrassment. However, they did not wish to give up such a chance. Shi Feng was a great expert. They would reap endless benefits if they could learn a thing or two by staying by his side. Shi Feng said, smiling, "Of course you are all welcome to join." Suddenly, the two of them revealed excited expressions, both their hands clenched up in excitement. Since nobody is opposed to it, then we will go grind in Dark Moon Valley. After finishing his piece, Shi Feng called out the system panel. He selected the dungeon's party teleportation, parting with the Deathly Forest. 32 Stunning Invitation. There was a sea of players in front of the Deathly Forest. Currently, they were all gathered around the dungeon's entrance. Such a situation was due to the actions of the large guilds of Red Leaf Town. The elite teams of these large guilds had all arrived at the Deathly Forest. They were all prepared to challenge the dungeon. These teams were much stronger than the loosely made elite parties. Common equipment covered their entire bodies. There were even pieces of bronze equipment in the mix. That's Heaven's Crown's core MT, immovable mountain. Never have I imagined that even he would come to this place. Someone will surely clear the deathly forest this time. Humph, Heaven's Crown is just a third-rate guild. Look over there, even the sub-leader of Assassin's Alliance, Stabbing Heart, is here. Also, the Guardian Knight named War Soul by his side is the top 5 knight of the Assassin's Alliance. He is even stronger than the immovable mountain. The players in the surrounding area started a discussion amongst themselves. They held optimistic views towards these large guilds at clearing the deathly forest. It was to be expected, as there were over 10 guilds currently present, both large and small. Amongst these guilds, the most well-known guild would be the second-rate guild, Assassin's Alliance. Following them would be the third-rate guild, Heaven's Crown. The others were just some unknown guilds, but they still would not be looked down on. This was because a workshop stood behind every guild. These workshops hired experts. Average players could not compare to them. Each large guild wanted to build its reputation in Red Leaf Town. Conquering the first dungeon in Red Leaf Town was the perfect way to do so. Hence, all of the large guilds made ample preparations for the dungeon. They spent large sums of their assets to buy equipment and medicine. They also bought a lot of information on the deathly forest. So, they were extremely confident about conquering the dungeon. Boss waving, these guild teams have gorgeous equipment. They will definitely clear the deathly forest this time, Wordless Summer Knight commented with a pained expression. Waving slowly but surely crossed his arms in front of his chest. He nodded slightly, saying in a helpless tone, the deathly forest is too difficult. We party wiped before we even met the boss. In the end, parties like ours only became scouts for the guilds. What's there to brag about being a guild's expert? Boss, it's not our skills that are lacking. The dungeon is just too horrifying. It has too high of an equipment quality requirement, the shield warrior, battle to the end said in disdain. He held contempt for the guild experts deep in his heart, and he was sure only their equipment prevented them from clearing the dungeon. That's right, boss. If our party had such equipment, we would have long since cleared the deathly forest, Wordless Summer Knight confidently said. Speaking of dungeons, Wordless Summer thought of Shi Feng's party. He giggled as he said, it's not like we didn't have any gain. We've killed 2 night rabbits and even got a skill book for berserkers. Compared to that party led by Captain Noob, we're much stronger. They still haven't shown themselves. I guess they've already fled from embarrassment. It sure is a pity for Lonely Snow. If he followed the boss, then he would have been given this skill book. If he found out about it, he would regret not following us into the dungeon. That's right. Lonely Snow doesn't know how to appreciate the kindness given to him. Now, he will definitely regret not following the boss, Battle to the End laughingly said. Lonely Snow's skills are still quite good. I don't know how that noob managed to gain the favor of that expert called Blackie. However, no matter how great that expert's techniques are, with dead weight pulling him back they would still party wipe. He is probably too ashamed to show himself right now. If he had gone with us, we might have cleared the deathly forest by now. Waving slowly was silently pleased with Blackie's end. Boss, the guilds are going to enter now, Wordless Summer said. However, just as the guilds were about to enter the deathly forest, the dungeon's teleportation gate suddenly changed color. It instantly turned from a silvery grey to a pitch-black color. There was also an indistinct skull that was roaring. The many members of the guilds couldn't help but retreat a few steps back. What is this situation? Such a question appeared within everyone's hearts. However, they quickly received their answer. 6 figures suddenly appeared in front of the dungeon's entrance. Each and every one of them was clothed in glorious garments. Just by standing there, the 6 of them caused others to feel a faint pressure, especially the Curse Mancer with the black-colored staff. The dark grey-colored equipment on the Curse Mancer was clearly a set. A single glance was enough to tell they were not common goods. The materials it was made of were much better than bronze equipment. Why are there so many people? Shi Feng took a look at his surroundings, discovering these people were the elite teams of large guilds. He was slightly confused as to why all these people were blocking the dungeon's entrance. Shi Feng's party members also started to panic. The pressure from being watched by so many people was no weaker than facing off against a boss monster. Boss waving, look. Isn't that the noob? Wordless Summer pointed towards Shi Feng. Waving slowly knitted his brows. Shi Feng was not the only person he spotted, there was also Lonely Snow. He curiously asked, how could they be here? Didn't they run away long ago? In my view, I think they did not even enter the forest of the dungeon. They knew they could not clear the dungeon, but they were also afraid of embarrassing themselves. So, they stayed in there until now. Battle to the End laughed, but now they just happened to get caught after leaving the dungeon. Just look at how ugly Lonely Snow's expression is. Ha ha ha. As expected of a noob, he doesn't even have the courage to enter the dungeon. Waving slowly but surely felt Wordless Summer Knight's words made sense. If not, how could Shi Feng's party have returned safely? Waving slowly and the other party members experienced the horrendousness of the deathly forest. After entering the forest of the dungeon, there were only two possible results, either they cleared the dungeon, or they party wiped. There was no possibility of a third option. Now that Shi Feng's party had returned safely, there was only one possibility, they never entered the forest. It was impossible that they cleared the deathly forest. During the time Waving slowly and company started laughing at Shi Feng's party, the players surrounding Shi Feng had already laughed themselves into madness. Such a scene confused Waving slowly and party. Why were these people laughing at Shi Feng's party? Were they actually famous? What Waving slowly's party did not know was that Shi Feng's party had already become famous throughout the entire deathly forest. Shi Feng's party mainly consisted of level 1 noobs, yet they entered the hell mode of the dungeon. There was no action more foolish than this. It would be hard for others not to notice such an action. As they say, bad news has wings. Ha ha ha, that exotic player is back. I actually admired him for entering the hell mode of the deathly forest, but he was just a coward. I can't take it anymore, my stomach hurts too much from laughing. The players surrounding Shi Feng's party understood their actions. They had foolishly entered the hell mode of the dungeon, so they could not enter deep into the dungeon. Instead, they stayed around the dungeon's entrance and looked for a time to leave the dungeon in secret. Unfortunately, even God would not help them. They coincidentally left just to be seen by the many guilds. Brother Feng, what's wrong with these people? Blackie looked at the laughing players laying on the ground. Scratching his head, he asked with an odd tone, did their brains go bad? Why are they holding their stomachs and laughing on the ground? Who knows? Maybe their brains had a cramp. It seems we shouldn't play God's domain too long, especially for the first time. Shi Feng did not think their appearance had any relation to the actions of these people. We better leave. This is just giving me the creeps. The other members of the party nodded in agreement. The players in the deathly forest were truly strange. Big brother, please hold on for a moment. Just as Shi Feng's party was about to leave the dungeon's entrance, a ringing voice entered everyone's ears. Taking a look at the voice's origin, a beautiful and pure maiden dressed in a pure white mage's robe was seen walking towards Shi Feng's party. Shi Feng recognized this person. She was Star Moon Kingdom's top 100 cleric, Xiao Yuer. Xiao Yuer walked to Shi Feng with an embarrassed look, a blush appearing on her tender white cheeks. She whispered, nice to meet you. I am Xiao Yuer of Ouroboros. We met before entering the dungeon. Our party's leader wishes to have a chat with you about the Deathly Forest's dungeon. I wonder if you would be interested in sharing. 33 Changing from Arrogance to Humility 1. Xiao Yuer's appearance shocked everyone present. Every player present knew who Xiao Yuer was. After all, she was the goddess party mate. Coupled with Xiao Yuer's beauty and purity, she was firmly implanted in everyone's memories. However, why would such a pure maiden invite a noob? Furthermore, what was harder to imagine was the person who invited the noob was not Xiao Yuer, but the goddess, Gentle Snow. Who was Gentle Snow? She was the publicly acknowledged snow goddess in the virtual gaming world. There were countless MR perfects who wanted to approach her. There was even a trust fund baby who had offered 10 million credits just to have a meal with Gentle Snow. However, that person did not even receive a word from her. Scram, that trust fund baby was naturally enraged. Thus, he sought to get revenge and turn Gentle Snow into his possession. Yet, a few days later, this trust fund baby was dumbfounded. His father, a self-made wealthy man, suddenly became a poor pauper. All of his father's properties had, within a night, become someone else's possession. When the trust fund baby's father found the cause, he nearly beat his son to death. From then onwards, everyone finally knew the dreadfulness of Gentle Snow. However, Gentle Snow's fans had further increased in number after this incident. Gentle Snow was like a true goddess from the legends, divine and inviolable. Such a goddess had actively invited such a noob. How could it not shock people? Currently, everyone was no longer in the mood for laughter. There was only envy and displeasure. What virtue and ability did a noob have to be invited to chat with the goddess? Damn, this noob must have some dog shit luck. Why him? I'm so handsome, yet the goddess won't even speak a word to me. I, Jade Windtree, am an expert in God's domain, but why won't the goddess come have a chat with me? Could it be that I am too handsome? Or does the goddess prefer a wilder type? The goddess must want to understand the situation inside the Hell Mode dungeon. That's why she looked for him. I never imagined even noobs would have such benefits. If I had known earlier, I would have also entered Hell Mode once. Everyone started their own discussions. They glared at Shi Feng, having thoughts of disdain and envy towards him. They could not help but want to kill him right that instant. Boss waving slowly, I didn't hear wrong, right? That noob actually received an invite from the goddess. I must have heard wrong. Wordless Summer Night pinched his thick cheeks, saying with a foolish expression. It should be right. However, the goddess must have something she wishes to ask. He was only lucky, that's all. The prideful waving slowly deemed Shi Feng being able to chat with the goddess was all just due to his luck. Battle to the end nodded his head to the side, agreeing to waving slowly but surely's opinion. Gentle Snow was an existence they had looked up to. They were people of completely different worlds. Not to mention having a chat with her, they had already felt incredibly lucky just by being in the deathly forest with Gentle Snow. Just when everyone thought Shi Feng would smugly agree to the invitation, Shi Feng had instead given a contradictory answer. Not interested. I'm in a rush for time. Shi Feng turned around and left immediately after responding. He did not care about Xiao Yu in front of him at all, and he cared even less about Gentle Snow's invitation. Now that the forging design was in his hands, he only lacked ore. The quicker the garrison armor made its appearance, the greater Shi Feng's income would be. If he missed out on this great chance, he would lose a large sum of coins. Blackie had been extremely excited when he thought he would be able to get close to the goddess. Shi Feng's answer, however, nearly drove him to madness. There must be a mispositioned nerve inside Shi Feng's brain to reject the invitation. It was not just Blackie who was dumbfounded, even Xiao Yu was shocked motionless. It was the first time she met a man who actually rejected Sister Snow's invitation. Many men begged for such an invitation, yet all of them remained empty-handed. Could this man be a fool? Let's go. What are you daydreaming about? He turned and asked his motionless party members when Shi Feng discovered nobody following him. Brother Feng, that's an invitation from the Snow Goddess. Won't you think about it some more? Blackie requested. His mind was bordering insanity right now. At the same time, his heart continually prayed for Shi Feng to agree quickly. Such a great chance would be impossible to come by in the future. I've already said I don't have the time, Shi Feng responded with a smile. Shi Feng became speechless when he looked at Blackie's prayerful eyes. No matter what, Blackie's reverence for the Snow Goddess would not change one little bit. Currently, Gentle Snow and Zhao Yuru walked over. Clad in a silvery white plate armor, Gentle Snow was undoubtedly the focus of the entire deathly forest. Everyone's eyes were glued to her perfectly curved body, their mouths drooling. Nobody had imagined Gentle Snow would personally make an appearance. Everyone's envy and hatred for Shi Feng grew even more. You can be at ease. I will not waste too much of your time. This piece of bronze equipment can be your compensation. Gentle Snow carefully watched Shi Feng. She discovered Shi Feng was indeed different from other people. Although Shi Feng had a typical appearance, his body gave off a calm and steady feeling. There was also a faint murderous aura radiating from his body. Such temperament could only be honed after experiencing countless life or death battles. Snow. Zhao Yuru was shocked. She never thought Gentle Snow would think so highly of Shi Feng. Her beautiful eyes unwillingly turned towards Shi Feng. Her brows slightly creased, and she said in a contemptible tone, I don't think this fellow is worth a piece of bronze equipment, a piece of grey equipment at best. They had already been respectful by inviting Shi Feng over for a chat. However, not only did Shi Feng not appreciate their kindness, he even rejected them immediately. If someone else received such an invite, they would have long since come running over to fawn over them. It was the first time Zhao Yuru met such an unattractive man who took such an action. She firmly believed Shi Feng had some scheme in his mind and there was nothing good about him. No need for the bronze equipment. I have those things, myself, Shi Feng waved his hand, saying in an uncaring tone. He never tried to flatter the witch, to begin with, but he never imagined she would speak of him in such a way. However, he was not a poor ghost, he did not need any charity. Zhao Yuru's beautiful eyes measured up Shi Feng. She couldn't help but let loose a faint laughter, playfully saying, such an unyielding spirit. You clearly want it, yet you're refusing to admit it. Snow, this fellow is really insincere. Yuru, Gentle Snow impatiently sent Zhao Yuru a glance, hinting her not to overdo it. To begin with, they were the ones who took the initiative to send the invite. It would not be proper to look down on others now. Zhao Yuru pouted. She shot a glance towards Shi Feng, puffing out her prideful twin peaks as she helplessly turned her head away. She did not think a poor fellow like Shi Feng would have anything they wanted. Sorry, please receive this piece of equipment as an apology. Gentle Snow took out a level 0 bronze belt meant for a swordsman and traded it to Shi Feng. She wanted to put an end to this matter. Shi Feng did not reject the offer after seeing Gentle Snow's sincerity. If he rejected it, it would only show how petty of a man he was. At the same time, he would cause Gentle Snow to think he did not wish to reconcile. He couldn't just keep on refusing the kindness of others. Besides, he was indeed missing a bronze belt. Hehe, and here I thought you had some great ability. In the end, you still need it, Zhao Yuru said in disdain. She inwardly felt unfortunate to lose a piece of bronze equipment. They obtained this piece of equipment after killing a rare elite with much difficulty. It was an absolute waste now that their efforts were benefiting Xi Feng. Xi Feng slightly wrinkled his brows. Not even a man would be able to stand being mocked and ridiculed in such a way, not to mention a reincarnated person like Xi Feng. Since Miss Snow gave me a piece of bronze equipment, it is only proper for me to reciprocate in kind. Let this item be the return gift. 34 Changing from arrogance to humility 2. Gentle Snow's eyes flashed when Xi Feng also wanted to gift her something. She felt astonished and thought Xi Feng was an interesting person. Xi Feng conducted himself properly, and he was not as hard to get along with as she had imagined. You? Gifting Snow a present? Do you think Snow would even want it? Zhao Yuru could not help but turn her head around. Her fresh red lips curled into a seductive smile, and her eyes held a sneer within them. She was silently laughing at Xi Feng's overestimation of himself. What kind of item has Gentle Snow not seen before? Even luxury cars worth over 10 million could not catch her attention, not to mention an item within a game. Currently, Xi Feng took out a piece of paper from his bag. This drawing was one of the drops from the boss. Xi Feng nonchalantly passed the item over to Gentle Snow. When Zhao Yuru saw Xi Feng take out a piece of scrap paper and give it as a present to Gentle Snow, she could not help but coldly say, "Are you trying to make a fool of us?" "No." Xi Feng said in a serious tone. "Snow gave you a piece of bronze equipment, yet what about you? You took out a piece of scrap paper to trick her. Do you think a piece of scrap paper could compare to a piece of bronze equipment? If you're not playing us for fools, then what are you trying to do?" Hearing Xi Feng's answer, Zhao Yuru was further enraged. Behind Xi Feng, Blackie and the others were each covered in a cold sweat. Even if you did not wish to chat with the goddess, you still should not make a fool of her. Wasn't this just courting death? They clearly obtained a good amount of equipment inside the dungeon, and just simply giving one of those pieces would easily solve the problem. If Xi Feng's actions angered the goddess, even if the goddess herself did not take action, the players surrounding them would surely kill them off for her. Seeing a mishap about to occur, Blackie thought of giving away the bronze staff he held. However, Gentle Snow gladly received the scrap paper Xi Feng gave her. Suddenly, Blackie and everyone else's mouths formed a 0H shape. The goddess accepted it. What kind of situation was this? Thank you for your present, I like it very much. Now, can we go somewhere with fewer people to have our chat? Gentle Snow smiled in appreciation. Xi Feng also smiled and nodded in agreement. Looking at Gentle Snow's faint smile was like watching a dazzling sun that warmed a person's heart. It would be hard to forget such a smile, even after a lifetime. Snow, you're going to forgive his rude actions just like that? Zhao Yuru asked in a puzzled tone. It's all right, Yuru. I like this item very much. Gentle Snow turned around after commenting, letting Xi Feng lead the way. Zhao Yuru was stunned. She just could not understand what kind of drug Xi Feng had given Gentle Snow. Was a piece of scrap paper enough? Just what was this piece of scrap paper? Snow, just what did that fellow give you? Zhao Yuru whispered. Just by seeing the fire poker on Xi Feng's waist, she could tell Xi Feng would not be able to give anything valuable. However, Gentle Snow still happily received it. Such a result puzzled Zhao Yuru significantly. A potion recipe for the basic strength potion. When consumed, it will increase a player's strength by 6 points for half an hour, Gentle Snow calmly replied. What? Zhao Yuru leaped up in shock. How could he have such a precious recipe? Potion making was very hard to learn. The recipes needed were famed for being rare drops, even the current Ouroboros only had a few normal recipes, not to mention rare recipes. A recipe that was capable of increasing the strength of a player by 6 points was unheard of until now. If the current level 2 players could have an extra 6 points in strength, that would equate to an additional 12 attack power. Such a potion would have a significant effect when they dove into a dungeon. Regarding guilds who frequently conquered dungeons, the value of this recipe far surpassed that of tens of pieces of bronze equipment. As long as the basic strength potion were for sale, the supply would never be able to meet the demand. Yet, Xi Feng gifted such a recipe away. Did Xi Feng not know the value of this recipe? However, Zhao Yuru shook her head, denying this assumption. Before, she had seen the confident expression on Xi Feng's face. He knew the immense value it had towards their guild. Currently, Zhao Yuru turned her head once more towards Xi Feng. A tinge of red appeared on her cheeks when she thought back to what she said before. She felt humiliated. She actually called a rare recipe a scrap paper. When she thought of Xi Feng's smile, he was definitely laughing at her lack of knowledge. He was such a hateful bastard, now you finally know. I've already said he wasn't simple. Gentle Snow smiled at Zhao Yuru. Even after Gentle Snow and Xi Feng left the scene, the surrounding players had yet to recover themselves. What kind of situation was this? A noob actually received the attention of the goddess. Was this person really a noob? Boss waving slowly, that noob left with the goddess. Wordless Summer Night was very upset. After watching the goddess being very courteous with Shi Feng, even an idiot could tell Shi Feng was not that simple. Don't mind it. I've heard from others that the noob entered the hell mode of the deathly forest. The snow goddess must have intentionally invited him to learn about the difficulty of hell mode, waving slowly did not believe that he would misjudge a person. Shi Feng was definitely a noob. He must have just been incredibly fortunate. Before, he managed to gain the favor of an expert. Now, he also somehow managed to obtain the favor of the goddess. In a rock pit over 200 yards south of the deathly forest, Gentle Snow and Shi Feng sat facing each other. Surrounding them was a beautiful scenery and gurgling streams. As for the others, they stood to the sides. None of them tried to eavesdrop on the conversation between Shi Feng and Gentle Snow. They comfortably sat down and started chatting amongst themselves. I wonder what business Miss Snow has for me. The deathly forest. Gentle Snow openly said, I want the strategy for the deathly forest. State your price. Hehe, I'm afraid Miss Snow is overthinking things. How could I have the strategy to the deathly forest? I've only entered the dungeon once. Shi Feng would not admit to possessing the strategy. It would bring about the suspicion of others. After all, God's Domain was a game constructed by the main God system. Even beta testers would not know a detailed strategy for the dungeon. It was still possible to trick amateurs such as Blackie, but it was impossible to trick Gentle Snow. Troubles would arise if Shi Feng were to generously share his strategy. Gentle Snow smiled sweetly, her eyes swept once across Shi Feng's party members before calmly saying, if I'm not mistaken, the equipment your party members are wearing all came from the hell mode of the deathly forest. Although your party has 1 or 2 players with proper techniques, everyone knows you had invited 3 level 1 noobs as temporary members. Such a party was able to enter hell mode, and even came out with quite a lot of equipment. Do you think I would believe you if you said you did not have any information? Let's not twist our words around. I know you're a beta tester, and not just any beta tester. You must have done detailed research on the deathly forest. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to clear the dungeon at all. This basic strength potion recipe is the best evidence as to why I would say you've cleared it. You can rest assured however that I will not reveal your secret. Gentle Snow fixated her gaze on Shi Feng as if she saw through Shi Feng's entire being. Alright, what you say is correct. Shi Feng shrugged his shoulders, silently letting loose a breath. He never thought Gentle Snow would fill up the questionable gaps. It would not be any better for Shi Feng if Gentle Snow thought in such a way. State your price then. Gentle Snow was all smiles with Shi Feng. It was as though she was saying, did you think I could not control a person like you? This lady knows everything. 35 Changing from arrogance to humility 3. Seeing Gentle Snow smile with confidence, Shi Feng was already snickering in silence. Sheep's wool comes from a sheep. If you wished to earn money, it was natural to obtain it from a wealthy person. A first-rate guild like Ouroboros was unquestionably an appropriate target. According to Shi Feng's knowledge, the guild, Ouroboros, had already conquered over 10 virtual reality games. However, the appearance of God's Domain had shaken the virtual gaming world. It was dubbed as mankind's second world. It caused the collapse of many other virtual reality games. Afterward, countless companies started madly investing in God's Domain, nurturing their guild, growing their influence, and building their place in the virtual financial world. Naturally, Ouroboros also invested in God's Domain. They, too, wanted to share a bite of the countless assets. Also, Ouroboros was not just wealthy, it also had a great background. The number of experts working under Ouroboros exceeded over 1,000. These 1,000 men were famed as the god-slaying army in God's Domain. The existence of these 1,000 experts allowed Ouroboros to establish a large virtual empire. They unified over 80 cities in God's Domain that each had a population of over 1 million players. Ouroboros was a true tyrant in God's Domain. During Ouroboros' peak, it was the equivalent to the entire Star Moon Kingdom. As for Shadow, it had only established 10 cities that did not have populations exceeding 1 million players. In such a way, Ouroboros had become a peerless tyrant in the real world. Their position was truly unimaginable. It should be known that Star Moon Kingdom was a relatively large kingdom, even amongst the hundreds present in God's Domain. It was at the upper middle ranks. One could clearly see Ouroboros' prowess when compared to it. How could Shi Feng not wish to work with such a powerful guild? It was just the risk of working with Gentle Snow was too high. Because of her particular identity, the information she could get a hold of was just too great. Shi Feng could not help but be cautious of her. It was why he intentionally revealed some hints, especially with the recipe for the basic strength potion. He wanted to see Gentle Snow's reaction. If she behaved in a bad way, Shi Feng would naturally act ignorant and push all responsibility away. However, the present situation was undoubtedly the one Shi Feng looked forward to the most. Since you've already explained. My asking price isn't high. 20 silver coins. Shi Feng calmly stated. To a small guild of current times, 20 silver coins would already be their entire fortune. Even 100-man money farming group would need 2 to 3 days to collect such an amount. Zhao Yuuru sucked in a cold breath, nearly jumping up when she heard Shi Feng casually ask for 20 silver coins. She stared at Shi Feng, furiously saying, "Why don't you just rob someone? That would be a faster way." "I would do it if I could get that much money," Shi Feng said with a smile. "You should know there is a lot of skill books, weapons and equipment for players inside the Deathly Forest. They can quickly increase the strength of players. If you could conquer the Deathly Forest a step earlier, the benefits it would bring towards future developments go without saying. Can't you make it a little cheaper? 20 silvers? Even we, Ouroboros, can't simply take out that much money." Zhao Yuuru thoroughly disliked Shi Feng now. However, when she thought about the importance of the Deathly Forest, she still used a softer tone to speak to Shi Feng. "Sorry, but no negotiations. If you don't agree to it, then I can only consider working with some other guild." Shi Feng remained firm with his decision. He had been very sincere in dealing with Gentle Snow. If it was still not possible, he could only consider the Assassin's Alliance. The Assassin's Alliance was wealthy and imposing. Before, they spent over 20 silvers to buy Shi Feng's level 5 bronze shield. "I understand. 20 silvers then. However, we need some time to collect the money. After all, our Ouroboros area of influence isn't in White River City, but at the capital, Star Moon City. There are only a few Ouroboros members close to White River City. Give me a day's time, take these 7 silvers as a deposit. I will compensate you with 15 silvers a day later." Gentle Snow had never imagined Shi Feng's appetite would be so great. 20 silvers was still a lot to her. However, the importance of clearing the Deathly Forest was too great. They had to grasp it as soon as possible. At the same time, Gentle Snow knew that silver coins were precious during the early periods of the game. Hence, she had given a little more to Shi Feng as interest. "Alright. Here is the map of the Deathly Forest, and also the things you need to pay attention to when fighting against the boss." Shi Feng also knew what Gentle Snow had said was true. Wanting to gather 20 silver coins would not be easy. Ouroboros did not have as great of influence in White River City as the Assassin's Alliance did. Shi Feng sent mail to Gentle Snow containing detailed introductions to the Deathly Forest. With Gentle Snow's abilities, they should be able to clear normal mode easily. Gentle Snow looked at the strategy she received for the Deathly Forest, her heart slightly shook only after a slight glance. She never imagined the Deathly Forest would be so horrifying. Just the number of paths available already numbered 36. 33 of them were dead ends. There was even a Night Ranger who moved based on opportunity. There was also a detailed description of the boss and when it would cast its skills. She definitely got more than 20 silvers worth of information. If she sent others to explore the paths bit by bit, the cost would exceed 20 silvers. Suddenly, another change occurred to Gentle Snow's perception of Shi Feng. She felt Shi Feng was not as simple as he seemed to be. He was certainly an expert. Only an expert could have such a profound understanding of the dungeon. However, Gentle Snow had no recollection of an expert swordsman like Shi Feng. In 3 days Ouroboros is planning to enter the first level 5, 20-man dungeon, the Dark Moon Graveyard. I wonder if you will be interested in joining. Gentle Snow's beautiful eyes looked towards Shi Feng as she invited him to the team dungeon. She already acknowledged Shi Feng's strength. If Shi Feng was with them, entering the team dungeon, they might have an easier time in it. From aside, Blackie looked at Shi Feng with dumbstruck eyes. His admiration for Shi Feng had already reached the level of worship. He never imagined Shi Feng would be so awesome as to conquer the snow goddess in a few moves. The goddess even wished to invite him to raid a dungeon. How great of an honor was this? There were countless men who dreamt of raiding a dungeon with the snow goddess. However, Zhao Yuuru became irritated after hearing Gentle Snow invite him. Shi Feng was but a beta tester. At most, he had experienced God's domain a few more days than they did and had a deeper understanding of the Deathly Forest. However, the 20-man team dungeon had only opened after the game's official release. It did not exist during the beta test, so there was no way for Shi Feng to know anything about it. Also, Shi Feng wasn't some powerful expert, what point would there be in inviting him? He would just be wasting a slot in the dungeon. Shi Feng entered a thought. There were a lot of good items that dropped from a 20-man dungeon. It had been particularly true for the Dark Moon Graveyard, which dropped a lot of worthwhile equipment for swordsmen. The attributes of the equipment from that dungeon were also much better than the ones obtained from wild bosses. However, Shi Feng was not able to organize a 20-man party, so it wouldn't be a disadvantage to join Gentle Snow for a round. Alright, but leave a few spots for me. Also, all swordsman equipment and forging designs must belong to me, Shi Feng answered with a nod. Can't you be a little more humble? Zhao Yuuru looked at Shi Feng, pouting. She felt Shi Feng was going too overboard. If Gentle Snow had asked anyone else, they would have readily agreed, even going as far as to forego getting any equipment. Shi Feng, however, even wanted priority over equipment. He was not courteous with them at all. Gentle Snow did not imagine Shi Feng was truly different from the other people. He did not play around with his words. However, it was interesting that he would say whatever he wanted. Following which, Gentle Snow looked towards the party members behind Shi Feng. Although they were noobs, their equipment was all of good quality. They could barely manage in the 20-man dungeon. Thus, Gentle Snow said, "Fine. Let's add each other as friends then. We'll be in touch when the time comes. Alright. You can just contact me a few hours before raiding the dungeon. I'll arrive on time." Shi Feng accepted Gentle Snow's friend request. Subsequently, Shi Feng and his party members left the small rock pit, heading towards Dark Moon Valley. When the group passed through the Deathly Forest's dungeon, Stabbing Heart of the Assassin's Alliance abruptly called out to Shi Feng, "Brother Ye Feng, I nearly failed to recognize you. I never imagined you actually knew a big shot like the Snow Goddess. You must not forget a brother like me in the future." Stabbing Heart jokingly said as he walked towards Shi Feng. "Nonsense. I just happened to meet with Miss Snow by chance," Shi Feng replied with a smile. "Brother Ye Feng, you are too humble. Based on your strength, you are absolutely worthy of becoming friends with the Snow Goddess. After all, both of you are experts of the same level." Stabbing Heart thought Shi Feng was very humble. It was no wonder he was such a great expert. The way he conducted himself was different than ordinary people. Stabbing Heart wanted to befriend Shi Feng even more now. "Our Assassin's Alliance is preparing to enter the dungeon. I wonder if Brother Ye Feng would be interested in joining us? Of course, you can pick any of the equipment that you want. You are too courteous, Brother Stabbing Heart. However, I still have some things to attend to. I will definitely join if there is another chance in the future." Shi Feng politely rejected the offer. Stabbing Heart spoke in a loud voice. Surrounding players clearly heard his words. At first, everyone thought of Shi Feng as just a noob. His being called upon by the Snow Goddess was just due to luck. Even now, Stabbing Heart of the Assassin's Alliance wished to befriend Shi Feng. Just what sort of situation was this? The Assassin's Alliance was a large guild that was famous throughout White River City. As the sub-leader of the guild's elite group, Stabbing Heart would not need to interact with normal players at all. However, he tried to befriend Shi Feng. Shi Feng had actually rejected him. Shi Feng was just too domineering. If someone were to call Shi Feng a noob, nobody would believe them. There was something strange about the situation. Everyone guessed that Shi Feng must be a hidden expert that normal players did not know of. Otherwise, why would big shots try to meet Shi Feng one after the other? Boss waving, that Stabbing Heart actually tried to befriend that noob. I'm not dreaming, right? Wordless Summer Night was shocked. Was this Shi Feng really the noob they met before? Waving slowly but surely was currently upset in his heart. Initially, his heart still held hope that Shi Feng was just a noob. Now, however, that hope was utterly destroyed by Stabbing Heart. Shi Feng was not a noob. He was definitely an expert, just like Lonely Snow had said. Shi Feng might even be greater than Lonely Snow had described him to be. If Lonely Snow followed Shi Feng, then his future would certainly be filled with boundless prospects. On the other hand, they had chased Shi Feng away. They had missed a great chance for them to befriend an expert. "Boss, why don't we go over and apologize? An expert is a magnanimous person. Who knows, he might even forgive us. At that time, we, too, could gain the favor of an expert," Battle to the End suggested. Wordless Summer Night nodded his head in complete agreement. Just as Shi Feng's party was about to leave the Deathly Forest, waving slowly but surely and the others came running over. "Big Brother Expert, we've had some misunderstandings before, so we're here to apologize to you. We hope you can forgive our ignorance. Here's a silver coin to show our sincerity. We hope Big Brother Expert can take us under your wing." Waving slowly was all smiles as he apologized. The arrogance he had before was completely gone now. Wordless Summer Night and Battle to the End were also sincerely apologizing without stop. They wished to grind monsters with Shi Feng. "If you guys don't have anything else to say, then please leave. I still have matters to attend to, so I don't have any time to waste with you." Shi Feng spun around to leave after replying. He did not mind one little bit in regards to waving slowly and the others' previous behavior. However, wanting him to carry them? Not a chance. As for Lonely Snow, he only shook his head in regards to waving slowly and the others' actions. If they had known that their actions would lead to such results today, maybe they wouldn't have acted so in the beginning. Watching Lonely Snow leave with Shi Feng, Wordless Summer curled his lips into a frown, saying in a sour tone, "Bah! What's there to be amazed about? In the future, I, too, will become an expert." However, only waving slowly knew Lonely Snow would become successful in the future. He was already in a different world than them. *****. TL notes. 1 carry, a gaming term used to refer to a player who largely contributed to the team's victory.